Michael Vick 2.0. Is that really what Lamar Jackson is, or is he Lamar Jackson 1.0? Maybe he wants to establish his own identity. Brendan Albert is here. I am Adrian Fedke. So we just got done Josh Allen, and we got another prospect that it's a little difficult to evaluate, and you got a whole spectrum of opinions. There's a lot of people that don't even want to give him a chance, that say he's too inaccurate, all this stuff, poor mechanics. And then there's people that really, really love his upside and even say that he's the best quarterback in this class. And I'm not kidding about that. Brendan Albert is here. I am Adrian Fedke. Let's get into Lamar Jackson.
It's so interesting with Lamar because you have heard trusted people on ESPN said, hey, he should just make his transition to receiver right away because that's what he's going to be. And then you've heard people who are, like Chris Sims said, he might be the best quarterback out here. Mm-hmm. So it's so crazy to me to see we are so opposite ends of the gauntlet. Usually it's like, hey, these guys are first-round picks, and maybe you have a little bit different order. But with Lamar, it's anything from he's the best player in this draft to he's not even a quarterback in the NFL. It's crazy to see how different of opinion people have here with him.
And he, out of any quarterback in this class, needs good coaching more than anybody because, all the prospects that we've done so far at the quarterback position, there was a lot of bad. I'll just say that from the jump. There's a lot of bad. There's also obviously a lot of good, but not hard at all to find bad with Lamar Jackson, especially when comparing to like Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield was like, I was struggling to find bad stuff. But Lamar Jackson, definitely a lot of bad, and we're going to get into it right now. Well, later, I guess, because we're going to start with the good, obviously, because that's what we do. And I think the best route that he throws is the deep post. Anything over the middle of the field, like a deep in route, deep post, he throws pretty well. I will give him that.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Adrian. In college, I would say it's anything really inside the numbers is really where his money making is. And I would probably say his arm power maybe is the second best in the draft behind Allen.
I agree.
But, his quick flick of the wrist here, not even athletic ability yet, how quickly that ball gets out is Michael Vick-esque. And that's just a complete perfect strike here. He's a video game player, man. To be able to make a guy miss, you literally have a guy unblocked. You have one guy unblocked, and he's still able to make him miss and then able to throw a touchdown pass, all while standing completely straight up here. It's an absolute dime.
And the next couple clips is kind of what gives me some hope is his touch. I think he's got some pretty good touch for a quarterback.
Big time. Yeah, his touch ability is something that's really, really well noted. I think I agree with that, Adrian. This clip here is a freaking strike, too.
That's a dime.
That's a freaking strike, man. That's a small window. Put it on a rope there. I like this one. Does a great job here putting it on the outside shoulder against those Seminoles. But then this one, my favorite. Let's talk about putting in a rope. Right before the safety, don't let your receiver get his head taken off. Awesome ball, man. Nice touch. You're right, Adrian.
Yep. And obviously that's kind of like what I said. That's like part of the art of quarterbacking is the touch. So, and he's got that. I think he does. And, he's just going to keep getting better, obviously, in the pros if he gets a good quarterback coach, a good regime to learn under. We've kind of heard rumors and rumblings with New England. If he goes to New England, what better situation could he go to?
I agree with you, man. I'm 100% agreement there.
There you go. All right, so next thing we're going to look at is, again, talking about that arm talent, the power, and the strength. That's a missile over the middle.
It's splitting. First off, it's over the top of a backer, and then it's splitting in between two safeties who are pretty much on this inside NFL level hashes there. This is one of those throws like you watch and you just start laughing and you're just like, shit, man, I don't know what to say. That's just a hell of a ball.
Hell yeah. And he's got these. These passes over the middle, he's pretty damn accurate with them.
Yeah, no question about it.
Yep. All right, so next thing we're going to look at, these are the obvious things. We already know about Lamar Jackson, but we're going to talk about it anyway. The athleticism, his ability to make people miss in the backfield. This is an example of him making something out of nothing. Spins out of a tackle. Receiver should have caught this ball. This is a pretty good throw to the left sideline, and then we're going to see an example of what he can be in the red zone. We know that he's got some ability with the ball in his hands. 2 beautiful cuts, and he finds pay dirt.
Yeah, honestly, to me, a lot was made of Lamar not doing the 40, not doing really anything at the combine. Honestly, if I was Lamar Jackson and someone like seriously asked me or was getting on my nerves about, well, don't you think you need to do stuff at the combine? If I was Lamar Jackson, I'd look at him and be like, you need to freaking Google me then, man, dude, because what I have done, there's no need for him to do stuff at the combine. Like, I'm completely cool with him not doing that stuff because we know he's a video game player, man. Being able to split two guys there and then go up over the top here, I mean, he's a video game player. He's no doubt his athletic ability is rare at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many clips we could have went with too. I mean, there's 80-yard runs, there's 50-yard runs, but I kind of showed this obviously. I mean, being able to score inside the red zone, him being a threat on that quarterback draw. So that's why I showed this one.
You're right, Adrian. The options were limitless for us when it's like, okay, where do we go to show his athleticism? I don't know. Just put any game on, hit play, and probably the third play in, you'll see one.
Yeah. So this isn't one where, like, we need to show clips to make our argument. I mean, just put it on. That's all you need to know. I mean, everybody, it's well known that he's got the athleticism. Best, obviously, of any quarterback in this class. All right, so some of the bad post-corner routes, out routes. So we talked about stuff in between the numbers, but stuff outside the numbers, not as good.
Yeah, this is no bueno. Outbreaking routes, something he struggled with. Also did not look good at throwing the outbreaking routes at the NFL Combine, and that's when guys dressed in shorts and a T-shirt. So this is certainly, Adrian, something that is a little bit of a concern. We talked about this with Allen. The big thing the NFL wants to see, what are you going to do when you're on one hash and you have to throw the exact opposite hash as an outbreaking route? This clip here is a perfect example of it. Nice souvenir ball, that's nowhere near him.
I mean, look at this. And there's a lot of examples of this, too. I mean, just 10 yards over the head of the receiver.
And the thing that irks me, this isn't a terrible example. Good job resetting his feet here. It's just a bad ball. Okay, I'll live with it. But this next one is an issue. I mean, I don't understand when he starts to backpedal at one point. I mean, he doesn't stay square in his drop. It's an issue because eventually what's going to happen, he starts turning backwards.
Yeah.
He's starting to take his weight transfer away. If you're going to take a hitch, he needs to take a hitch in one motion. He takes 3 steps, and because he takes those 3 steps, his shoulder starts to turn. If you're going to take a hitch, it should be 1, 2, 3, right foot back, left foot coming forward, and a nice 45-degree angle. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's too much here. You're drifting. Your body motion's never going to get to the target. You're not going to be able to get the ball out there because your momentum has been killed with those extra steps at the top.
And next thing we're going to see some more poor mechanics. I mean, basically the rest of the way it's poor mechanics. So no drop on these next 2 clips.
This just blows my mind. In what scenario are we not taking an actual drop in the NFL? I mean, in the NFL, if we take no drop in the NFL, you get a D tackle pushed in your lap every single time. And you know what? The biggest issue I had with Lamar in the offseason, I care this much about him not hiring an agent and hiring his mom. I'm cool with it. It's fine. Doesn't make a difference. It's all slotted as far as how much you get paid, where you get picked. But what I do care is the fact that from everything I've seen or I've looked, didn't really look like he worked with any quarterback specialist because when I went to the Combine, he's doing the same thing. The Combine, he's just taking the snap and taking like a 3-foot drop. In the NFL, you have to be getting 5 to 7 yards. You're taking a 3-foot drop, D tackle is going to push in your lap, man. That's such a small thing, but to me, I'm just like, that's so easily fixable. Why weren't we working on this? That's a red flag for me.
And this second throw here, this little, what's it, a stop route, whatever it is.
Yeah.
What do we got here? Yes, little curl route. So many instances where just a simple stop route, a simple curl route, and he's throwing wide of the target, and it's because of poor mechanics.
It is. Now, to be fair, in Bobby Petrino's offense, very similar to Oklahoma, mechanics aren't really a huge deal. It's more about, can you get the ball there? Can you get the ball there? That's really all it is. So, in fairness to Lamar here, he won a freaking Heisman Trophy doing exactly what his coach asked him to. So far be it for me to say what he was doing in college wasn't successful. But in the NFL, I think it's a fair concern.
All right, next couple clips we're going to look at poor balance, and you can get into this.
Balance, man. This is one of those small things. It's all about having your weight transfer here. Gets so freaking tall, and he gets so freaking tall here in his drop that what's going to happen is ball's going to sail. And now here's a better example. Never sets his feet. feet never get set, and he's able to make a throw here. This first one you're going to see, guys, look how tall he is. No bend in his knees, standing straight up, and the ball sails on him. I mean, you're that tall, you have no ability to be accurate because the ball's naturally going to sail. Next clip here, does a great job here of moving away in the pocket. Set your feet. You have a clean pocket. Set your feet. Relax. Throw a strike here. Makes a completion, absolutely.
Yeah.
But, I mean, look, the important thing, guys, when we look at film, understand, guys, the reason we look at film is not to see if he made the play. No shit, he's going to make the play. The reason we look at film is we're looking at, is the mechanics, is the clip here going to allow him to make a completion on the next level? And if we don't set our feet when we step up like this, your safety is going to take off the receiver's head because the ball is going to be either sailing high or it's going to be too far in front of him.
I mean, sure, he made the completion, but that's because the receiver made a heck of a catch to go down and get that. That's
sometimes, I mean, there's a difference, Adrian, right, between a completion and a reception. I would say this is more a reception. This is more on the receiver than it is on the quarterback.
Yep. No, that's a good point. That's a good point. All right, one last thing, looking a little bit too narrow on this final play, another overthrow. I mean, there's so many examples of overthrows on tape, but this is just another one.
Base is so freaking narrow, man. I mean, you talk about in all sports being pretty much shoulder width apart. Those feet are inside the shoulder blades, man. Yeah. I mean, your feet are that narrow. One of two things is going to happen. You're never even going to set your feet, or you're going to overstride. Josh Allen does this. He gets really narrow sometimes and then opens his feet really far. Now he overstrides, weight transfers off, shoulders not going to be leaning forward, hips aren't going to be able to follow through. It causes a whole bunch of issues here. So the issues Lamar has are fundamental things. Absolutely, they are coachable. Absolutely, they are teachable. But at the same time, if they're not fixed, he will never be a great NFL quarterback.
How long does it take to fix this?
Honestly, a guy like Lamar or Allen, their best bet would be complete red shirt, complete sit a year. I think a team who has done a fantastic job of that, how about the Jets? They have a quarterback, then they bring in Teddy, so whatever quarterback they draft at 3 is going to be the third-string quarterback. There's no way whoever plays for the Jets, whoever gets drafted by the Jets at 3, should play this year. Now, Lamar's not going to go 3, but I would say he needs a whole year to sit, and there's nothing wrong with that. Pat Mahomes did that, and then the Chiefs felt good enough. They traded away Alex Smith after he went to a Pro Bowl.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of where Lamar Jackson could go. And, like, everyone keeps talking about New England, and that could be a destination. I mean, they now have the 23rd pick, 31st pick. If they want, they can move up if they want to, and they like Lamar Jackson that much. I don't know if Miami would want to take Lamar because I know Adam Gase is another one. He's a quarterback guru. Maybe he'd like the project and keep Tannehill for one more year. If I remember correctly, Tannehill might be in the final year of his deal. So you keep Tannehill for one more year. You have Lamar Jackson redshirt. I think Miami would be the other destination that makes sense. And if he goes to Miami or New England, I think he could be successful. If he goes somewhere else that, you know, they don't really look at they don't really have the staff to be able to make him take the next leap, that's where I think he'll be a bust. So it's hard to evaluate, again, because it's going to depend on the situation that he's in.
Adrian, we talked about this. I think we talked about it with Rosen, but we talked about Deshaun Watson. Went to a scenario where Coach O'Brien sat down and said, okay, let me build an offense for you. The Eagles won a Super Bowl because when they lost their MVP favor quarterback, they went back to, okay, Nick, what are you good at? There's not a lot of coaches who are comfortable doing things like that. And I wish there were more, but simple fact remains is NFL coaches are full of ego and they say, this is my playbook, learn it, you're going to do it my way. But I think you're right, Adrian. I think Lamar Jackson needs to go somewhere with a team who's willing to completely rebuild everything around him. So Lamar, he's going to be a first-round pick. It's going to happen. There's no question in my mind. We'll have 5 minimum quarterbacks, maybe even 6 quarterbacks drafted in the first round. Probably go somewhere between 11 and 20. I don't think it's a stretch here. How about Baltimore? I mean, look, you bring in RG3. What is RG3's athletic abilities and biggest knocks? Same thing Lamar Jackson has.
Same thing.
Get rid of Joe Flacco after next year because they have the out, and then you get a quarterback on that 5-year option which is what teams are able to win Super Bowls because of a lot of times, because they have their quarterback on the 5-year option. Lamar Jackson's going to guy who's going to go in the teens is my guess.
And this is a reason why it's so hard to evaluate quarterbacks sometimes. It's like, sure, I can brag and I can be like, yeah, I had Deshaun Watson as my number one quarterback last year, as I just did. I'm bragging. But you know what? If he was in a position where he was with a coaching staff, not Houston, somewhere that, doesn't really have this scheme or the coaching ability to be able to make him take that next step, well, then all of a sudden you're looking at Deshaun Watson potentially being a bust.
You're right, Adrian. You can't compare apples to apples. I mean, in a perfect world, sure. And you know what? It makes good talk radio, and it makes good for Pro Bowl voting and all that stuff. You compare quarterback to quarterback. But, if I'm Matt Ryan and I can play with Julio Jones, my life's a little bit easier than a guy who's maybe the quarterback of the Niners and I'm throwing to a bunch of nobodies out there, right?
Or the Cleveland Browns.
Or the Cleveland Browns for the last 100 years, kind of thing. So you're right, Adrian. I like Lamar. Don't get me wrong. I think he's got a lot of areas to clean up. But, I mean, come on. His upside, it's got to be number one of all the quarterbacks here.
Yeah. All right. So I was about to say, hey, let's play the quarterback guessing game, but I don't even think I need any hints. It's Michael Vick.
It is Michael Vick. I mean, look, the flick of the wrist release is absolutely Michael Vick there. And then there's also stuff he can do with the ball in his hands. Even the way he doesn't always carry the ball appropriately is Michael Vick tendencies. The big difference, though, he's bigger than Mike was, and I think he might be a little bit further as far as, showing that he can make a lot of the throws, and he seems cleaner off the field. A lot of people forget when Michael Vick was coming out, there were a fair amount of red flags with Mike. There doesn't seem to be any red flags with Lamar, so that's obviously a big, big plus in his column.
I guess the one thing that we didn't show, but I did have a couple of illustrations of it when I sent you clips, is his strength to basically get out of tackles. I mean, you look at him, he looks like a noodle. Well, what's he, like 6'2", 6'3"? I don't know what his weight is, but he's really skinny. And you watch him back there, and it's like, wow, like he's getting out of the grasp of defensive ends and defensive tackles. He's able to get along the edge and make people miss on the second level. So he's not always dead to rights. If you think you have him squared up, he's hard to wrap up. Yeah,
Lamar is 6'3", 200, so he's certainly a good size. I still think he's a little thin.
That's what I mean. He's thin.
Yeah, I'd love to see him still play closer to 215. Yep. But you know what? He's 6'3". You put him in a situation where his whole life is now football as it is in the NFL. No reason he can't put on that 10 healthy weight pounds to be a little more durable. But to be fair, it's not like Lamar Jackson was a guy who missed a lot of games. He's not Rosen. Rosen missed a lot more games than Jackson. So if you're thinking, oh, well, maybe Lamar Jackson's not durable, I kind of would argue against that. He is a pretty durable dude.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into that when we get into the top five, but I'm a lot more worried about Josh Rosen than I am Lamar Jackson with durability at the next level.
Totally fair. I mean, the flip argument could be made. Yeah, but Lamar Jackson's going to try to make more plays happen in the open field than Rosen is. So Lamar's obviously got to learn how to slide. That was a big thing. Think about it. Michael Vick openly talked about, I can't slide. It was like a mental block for him.
He literally did not know how to slide. He always slid face first every time.
It was like the yips in baseball, right? Yeah. Where it's like you know what you need to do, but just can't do it. Michael Vick pretty much would go down like a sniper shot him every single time because he couldn't get down. It just was like a mental block for him.
Yeah, I think that there was like one time where he actually tried it, and it was like the most awkward-looking slide I've ever seen. Because what happened was, what started to happen was he would slide face first, and since the NFL has that rule where you're not down when you're down, like if the ball comes out, it's a live football. It's a fumble. And he did that on a couple occasions where he would slide face first, the ball would slide out, and it's a loose football.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, there was a play where Michael Vick slid feet first and tore his ACL because his foot got, clunged up with someone and the knee buckled back and it tore the ACL.
Well, that would give me the yips for the rest of the term.
Absolutely, yeah, I get it. But, that's going to be a big thing for Lamar because, look, if and when Lamar is drafted, do not change him. Just like don't change Deshaun Watson. Don't change Robert Griffin. Now, obviously, Robert Griffin's knees imploded, but at the same time, if you're drafting these guys for an athlete, make them be an athlete. Don't reinvent the wheel, because if you try to reinvent the wheel, then you're going to have to give him almost like another year of redshirting, because now you're going to ask him to change his game. That's why I love what Bill O'Brien did. Say, hey, I'm going to build the offense around you. One thing that I think would be awesome, it won't happen, but I was talking with a guy named Levon Kirkland, who was a Hall of Famer for the Pittsburgh Steelers, a guy I've been really privileged to learn a lot about. Me and him always talk about this. We don't understand why teams don't draft quarterbacks that are the exact same style, so that if and when a guy gets hurt, you don't have to reinvent the playbook. I would love to see that for Lamar Jackson. Go somewhere where, he has a backup who's very, very similar to him.
That's a good point. That is a really good point. And I guess that's the end of this discussion, because I have no further questions.
That's it. We're all done with Lamar.
That's it. That's Lamar Jackson, and this is going to be the final film room that we do. So there were other guys we were thinking about doing, but, this is really, really time-consuming. The Sixers playoffs are here, so now I'm, really extra busy. I got another job now with 9:20 a.m. that, if you guys know, I filled in a couple times for their station. I'm going to look to potentially get my own show in June. We'll see how that works out. But right now I'm a producer, so it's just too much to do. But all this, it was really, really fun to do. And don't worry, we're going to do top 5 rankings.
That's a big one coming up, guys. We're going to do top 5 for all the positions, so that's a great one to kind of keep your eyes peeled for.
There you go. All right, Brendan obviously is going to get a lot more right than I will, but I'm still going to have a little fun.
Got to do it.
Although I got you last year with Deshaun Watson.
You did get me there. I will take that one. I had Mitch over him.
Yeah. All right. That's Brendan. I'm Adrian. Take care.
Take care, guys.